Greetings, my beloved Black people. Welcome back to the plight and struggle of Black people in America. As you know, on Sundays we have our prominent Black people series, and as usual, we have a special guest. It's going to be interesting and enlightening, and without further delay, I'll bring him in. He'll kind of introduce himself. Hey.
What's up? What's up?
How you feeling, Harvey D?
Yeah.
It might be interesting along the way. People are gonna say, "Why he called him Malcolm?" And I don't know. We might talk about that, but yeah, introduce yourself to the viewers.
I mean, I'm Harvey. Being related to Mr. Gray, you know, we shared this organization, Black Men Who Carry in Corporate, for multiple years. I was the president, and he was the secretary, and we took uh, uh, a dormant organization and put it back on the map above what was expected. So
Yeah, that's
I
true.
took pride in that. And with a new leadership.
Okay, you're frozen on my end. There it is. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself as far as the city, like you said, organization. You born and raised where? You went to which high schools? All that good stuff. What's your career? And
Well, I was born and raised in Dallas, right outside of Joppy, right over there in Fruitdale, in that area, down the street from W. Bushman. And
okay.
if anybody know anything about that, you knew Best for Less, and that was it. And of course, I went to South Oak Cliff High School. That's where I graduated from. That's my alma mater.
That's what's
And
up.
then shortly after that, I got employed on at the Postal Service, and 36 years and 8 months later, I retired.
Retired at what age?
I retired at the age of 56 in 3 months. 56 in 2 months, actually.
Must be nice.
Yes.
Wow, must be nice. I know most of your friends you grew up still working.
Or dead.
That's what I'm saying. Otherwise, I mean, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of them still working. They haven't seen the light bulb come on yet.
I mean, I'm 63, and most of my peers are still working. But in your case, some of your friends may not be eligible yet because the postal service situation that you had. Most jobs don't have those type of benefits that we had, right? So it's people your age that really can't don't are eligible to retire from their companies. They don't have it that way, right?
True, true.
Yeah, yeah. So there's
But
so many blessings.
eligible and won't take advantage of the benefits and opportunity.
Yeah, there's plenty of those at the postal service, no doubt.
Some out there at large too now.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But hey, to each his own is what I say on that. I'm glad I listened and I retired. I retired at 61. Uh, I done had a couple of birthdays since then, which I noticed you're a February birthday person, just like myself. Henry Morris, one of our former board members, and a lot of people, that I know that are good people are February uh, birthday people. But I know something that's really interesting about you. Okay, you're one of 5 presidents that the organization has had. I think being the fourth. But what's interesting to me, and I'm curious too, the fact that you have been president, I think about 10 years, wasn't it? At least 10.
Minimum, yeah.
Right, right. So I'm like, and you came up with the brilliant idea, I ended up thinking, to put in some younger blood into the boardship and leadership of the organization. And I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. But I'm like, wow, that's unusual for a person to be willing and ready to relinquish something that's significant and perhaps powerful and whatever other potentials are involved. So to me, that shows that you had foresight. And I'm wondering what gave you the mindset to even think like that.
Well, it's two. it's two things that I truly pattern off of it is. One of them is Sunday school. When we go into church, you got some Sunday school teachers who don't ever want to give up their position.
Mm,
And as generation changes, they stay the same.
mm.
And then you lose focus of your generation, the new generation, because you're not willing to change and you're not willing to step down. So I've always used that as a footprint, saying that if I ever get in a position, it's better to step aside and allow a younger generation to keep the movement going instead of the movement dying. And that's where you value a legacy as opposed to a position. And for what we have is a thing that can go from generation to generation to help our people. So that's definement to me as a legacy. And sometimes you have to realize that younger blood, younger ideas can move you a lot further than your personal position savvy. So it's not hard to step aside when you know that the legacy is going to continue to grow. But if it's going to be dormant, you're kind of hesitant in letting it go until you feel like someone can step in and keep it moving. So I definitely had the confidence that we had a great foundation and uh, couldn't do nothing but put a better person in a position to move this to another level in helping our people.
But I'm sure you know that's not historically common in various black organizations that have leaderships, even on, I'm thinking then when I spoke on a national level, but even on smaller scales, because I think of West Dallas a lot when talked to Reverend Spears, and I was shocked that they had 75 Black Baptist churches in West Dallas. And Reverend Spears said that they couldn't hardly ever get anything done because when it came to organizing and doing it, it was always, well, whose name gonna be on it? And that's something that obviously you're not worried about, and that's what I'm talking about. The fact that that you having you to do is not historic among our people and among our leadership. You see what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
relinquish it, even unasked. You feel me? This was your idea, and I was shocked actually.
Well,
And then,
when you come in and your purpose is fulfilled, that is the moment
it's,
that you say, "Hey, uh,
mm,
the organization was revived. Is moving. Is known better than what it was. You know, and we saved some lives along the way."
right, right. And when you talk about purpose, man, that make me think about all the board members that were present during the crisis, right? Of getting reinstated for our tax exempt status because rules had changed when we were dormant. That's what had happened.
Mhm.
And for people like you, Henry Moss and Kevin Ross, to come basically to the rescue with your leadership at the helm, and like you said, literally save the organization, that's a blessing. And when you say work done, wait, that came to my mind right there.
Well, I call it reviving it. I don't say saving it.
I hear you.
Yeah, when we step in, and when you get a notice that you're not an active 501(c),
Hmm.
and our purpose is, you know, that we have to correct that to move
Absolutely.
forward.
Absolutely.
And I mean, if we jumped in,
And
I'm
handled it. That was great.
aggressively to make sure that we get that current status back, because that's what we pride ourselves in, is that we're not federal funded. We're not funded by anybody other than the board members itself. And we have to call ourselves a nonprofit organization, but we have to have that current status. So I'm all about taking care of business, and
Right, right, right.
we had to do that to get. I mean, to move forward. I mean, we can't even pronounce our name if we didn't have that structure corrected.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a number one priority. We set everything to the side until we got that taken care of. So that was a proven fact that the board that we had was committed to making sure that we were reestablished and wanted to move forward in the future. So it
Absolutely.
was a great board to work with.
Yeah, and that allows us to be coming up on our 30th anniversary this year, coming up
Ooh-wee.
next month. That's pretty interesting. But just to tease you a little bit for a minute, that was one of your premier moments, I would say, on the leadership of that situation. But I always tease you about being a great delegator. You know, you good at giving orders, man. But yeah, just teasing.
Well, I chaired a lot of committees, being very active in the union and
Yeah, yeah.
other organizations. And when you have people that say they're willing to work, you have to put it out there. Because
You
they're
gonna put
working,
in the work.
you know, and 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 a position requires a certain level of requirements, and those things have to be adhered to because that's your position in upholding one cornerstone of the organization. So a title is only a title if the person in the title is not moving that title. So I just took it for what I've always done, and that's basically taking what we have and really pushing everybody to their capability. If it's something you can't do, of course it is, and we ran into that a few times. But it didn't cause the organization to be dormant or fall. We picked up where we had to. But you got to see where if you want a title and that title has requirements, you're going to meet those requirements. And that's what made our organization strong.
Right. And just to point out another moment of your leadership, I like clowning you sometimes, you know that.
I know.
When that tornado had hit Lancaster, Texas that time, and we even had a sister from the post service, I think it hit her house also. And you remember it was a lot of turmoil going on and a lot of needs. And at one point, it got to the point where the women, uh, girls, and adults needed sanitary hygiene products, and we got those funds together and bought those items and took it to them over there. I forget which location, some center in Lancaster we had to take it to. Me and Henry Morris, I believe, went over there because some of us had different work hours because we're strictly voluntary, so we work for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we have to fit in what we can with our whatever vacation hours or off days or off
Or
hours.
regular work days.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. We'll go before we go to work and do some or whatever.
And I had to
Somebody
leave work and come in
that type of thing.
yeah.
I remember you came to WW Bushman like that. It was some kind of program over there because for sure you were involved with the volunteering at the school system, the ISD, before you even became president of Black Men Who Care Incorporated.
Yeah.
You had done the school system for years before you even got involved, with this aspect of the effort, right? So, yeah, I just like all the things you have done, and I know you talked to the current new president, and wow, you helped him tremendously uh, in so many ways, informational wise, and helped his confident a lot. And I noticed he mentioned, yeah, one thing I noticed, he told me I can call him anytime. He was happy about that. So,
Well,
yeah.
you taking a young man who loved the title of the organization, and before he even manifested himself into it, he wanted it, and I heard the passion in his voice,
That's great.
and you don't feed a person a full course meal. You give them a little appetizer, and he kept begging for more food, kept begging for
Okay,
more food.
okay. That's
And
what's up.
before you left, before it was over, he had a doggy bag to take with him. So,
Boy, you stupid.
yeah, so
He was full and had something to take with him.
yeah, I mean, he was chopping it up, and I mean, I thought it was gonna be just a like an introduction,
Mm,
and a little, duty status thing. And he caught me while I was rolling, and I
right,
had to
right,
pull
right.
over, because
Okay.
the questions in the conversation went to a different level.
Hmm.
And like I said, for a man of that age and wanting to take on that position,
Right, brother Henderson Boone Jr. Absolutely.
yes, and I mean, I couldn't do nothing but feel honored, to say not stepping in what I had is stepping in what it is, because that position was filled by someone before me.
Right, right.
I didn't create the position, so it wasn't nothing I was giving up. And he asked that question, and I explained to him that my purpose was filled, and you coming in and you saying you want to move forward, and he was spinning out a few ideas that we never crossed my mind.
Right, right, right.
So
He's
I
an
mean,
ambitious fellow with ideas for sure.
yes, and I didn't have nothing but love for the brother, and it's just like anything you say, somebody stepping in, and he gonna have some bumps and bruises, but the only way you can assure that he can get over that is make sure that yourself is accessible. So
Yeah.
that was the easy part.
I'm gonna say this, and you know how sometimes you just get a feel for something, and I believe in gut feelings a lot actually. But anyway, we actually our first board meeting with the new president and new other board members, because not only did you step down, the other brothers did too, the treasurer and vice president. But anyway, in my mind, heart and soul, it was already decided this podcast we were gonna go on that we wouldn't go. And we talked about it and we decided we wouldn't go. And then interestingly, probably 3 to 5 minutes after that, the new president said, I think we should go. And just on the strength that he changed his mind, we rode with it. And man, a lot of great things are coming out of that situation, including that billion situation. Man, and I thought about you. I said, because something he said made me think that that's what gave him the thought to think again, you know. And he decided to, yes, let's do it when we all had decided we wouldn't. And this
Well,
blooming and blossoming into
I
a great
told him
thing.
as the leader,
Mm.
you put
He
the
heard that.
organization, you
He
put the
heard it too.
organization first.
Mm-hmm.
I said you gonna make the right decision. I said take self out
Mm-hmm.
and think of the organization and what it can bring and the people you can help. The decision is easy. It may take you a second to make that decision,
That brother did it.
and
That was
it's easy. And
that was
then
great.
the
First
outcome,
meeting.
because it's not a selfish decision.
It wasn't. Right, right.
Yeah, and then when you see the profit of things that achieved through that decision, it makes it more easier on the next
He
decision.
should feel good right now. He's 37 years old. He should feel
Wow.
good because that one decision is sending us places, man. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Oh,
It's amazing.
and normally when you are chopping it up with somebody, they say they listening and they doing this and doing that,
Mm,
and then you take that movement there, and it's like, wow, he really was listening. You know, so
no doubt
uh,
about that.
that's. But I felt it that this
But
brother.
guess what else, Malcolm? He listened. A lot of people listen, but he took heed. Some
There
people
you go.
listen but don't take heed. Right. He
Yeah.
listened and took heed.
I'm
And
not.
then took action, right?
I'm not surprised where black men who carry in corporate gonna go. I'm not surprised.
I feel you on that.
I'm
I
not
do.
surprised.
Yeah.
If we could have recorded that conversation, you would have wondered who was the president. The way he was. I mean, he had a lot of questions and
Yeah,
his
yeah.
passion, and I was like, hey, I can't do nothing but be supportive,
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah. He's very focused
and
and
it's a
mature.
it's an organization that is loved and hated. And I broke it down to him.
Mhm.
Black men is a beautiful thing, but it's a hated thing because you got some men that are coming together for a great cause. And I said throughout my journey with them,
Mhm.
we had a lot of promises, and not one of them come through. I'm talking about forward support.
Yeah, and
You
it's
change your
amazing.
name if you back off of this stance, if you do this here, you
I even
know.
heard one time it was a brother. Maybe I might need to change the name, and it's like that don't
Man, it
make
was
sense.
a fraternity. They talking about we love helping kids, but that name is kind of negative. And I was like, hey,
But how? Black men, that's what we are.
once you
Who
speak, I
care?
might say we through conversating, because we're
And we
not gonna change
can.
it. And
It's just
it's
amazing
definitely
to
not a
see.
donation. So I brought up that one example to him,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
said, you have to stand strong on the name, on the
It's
on
amazing though. I don't get
because
it.
first of all, you're a representative of the organization. Then you're a representative of your culture, you
Mm.
know. And
Oh
I
yeah.
said that goes a long way. And I said, and one thing you don't want to do is let it be a smear on your watch. That's all I
Right,
have said.
right, right.
Yeah, your daddy used to say, "Don't mess up my name." Black men, you say, "Don't mess up my name."
I know
So
that's right. And he's a great father as well too. So man,
yes,
everything is looking great. And so I'm loving things and I appreciate all that you've done. And it was so much. And we ain't gonna get into how much you've done for me in my personal and private life.
well,
But I would like to mention something about the fact that boy, you sure know a lot of stuff when it comes to finances, survival, caring, loving folks, just all sorts of things. I'll just give this one snippet of what you did for me personally this one time. Everybody sometimes have a situation with credit cards, right?
yeah,
I
oh, yeah,
had this. I had this one situation one time with credit cards, and we've been on our own, and we don't know a lot of stuff sometimes. Anyway, I had got this line of credit, ran it up. Somebody else come with another card, say you can go ahead and get this and pay that off, then pay us back. Long story short, a situation arrived that I went through mediation. And I think you had told me I shouldn't have went through mediation, and that's what got me in the situation. Sort
yeah.
of.
It's a
Right.
binding
Right.
meeting. Yeah,
See, but I didn't know. Anyway, what happened, I went to the mediation thing. Uh, the debt had accumulated to $23,000, right? So anyway, I talked to the fella that was representing the people that want the money, and the mediator was supposed to be neutral, and they both were Caucasian. She was a female, and that guy was a male. The person representing the company. So then, after I talked to him alone, her first alone, then him alone, then us three, it seemed like to me they had teamed up on me. I had agreed to pay something, right? A monthly deal on the total amount that we agreed to on that 23,000, I think. But anyway, after leaving and feeling like they had doubled up on me and screwed me, I said, I ain't giving them nothing. So anyway, what happened? Long story short, to make it shorter, that 23,000 ballooned up into 150,000
yes.
over the period of years, right? And you remember that day? I got a knock on the door. Constable, deputy, whoever it was, one of them kind of people, somebody that carry a gun. I know that. And he was joking, served me the paper on the thing and said, you got a RV camper back there or something, being, funny. So I called you. I said, Malcolm, say, man, I got a situation. With these people talking about this credit and they done sent a constable. And you like, well, how much money they talking about? I said 150,000. You say you ain't got but one choice. I'm like, what's that? What'd you say? Shoot, bankruptcy.
Got to file bankruptcy.
Oh shoot, boy, and it worked well too. That's just one of the many things I got to thank you for, because I sure didn't know which way was up. Oh man, but yeah.
Well, working at the postal service, and like I say, a great company, and being very active in the union, and being a union representative make you an aggressive a person,
Mm.
because you got a lot of issues, and a lot of time sitting up there working, and during that time we didn't have technology. We had You had to read, and we
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of magazines come through, and I was in the flat area where I got to read a lot of magazines. And
Mm.
I wasn't really too cut on Ebony and Sports Illustrated and stuff. I was reading these business magazines, and one that really stuck out to me was Bottom Line.
Mm.
And Bottom Line used to always put articles in there, scenarios and solutions.
Solution.
And,
That's what I love.
and I loved it. In every episode, I just kept just gathering and gathering, and they had a lot of fruitful information. But one thing I realized, it wasn't for us.
Oh, right,
Bottom
right,
line
right.
was meant for black people.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a statistic in there, in the 70s and the 80s, it was like only 5 to 7% of blacks filed bankruptcy. And up from there to the 90s, it went up to like 18, 19%.
Right,
And
right.
then at that time, they changed the bankruptcy laws, because
Change the
but
rules when we get in the game.
that they designed it to save themselves.
Right, right, right.
And reading some of them things, and especially where you read where person get in a financial situation, and they go and get bailed out through bankruptcy, and then next thing you know, it get them a clean slate. But we as black people was taught to grind it out, try to pay it off, and restore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if they can go that shortcut and restore, why couldn't we couldn't? So like when you brought that problem, that issue to me, I mean, it was just spontaneous based on what I read. You have to take care of that. But as long as you and I know our friendship go back 30 years, you
At
know,
least.
yes, and I've always been about business,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and that's with everything, and that's why Black Men Curve soared to where it was. Because one thing we did, even though we had limited funds, we was contributing out of our paycheck
Yeah.
monthly, and but we always took care of business.
Mm-hmm.
We always took care of business. We took care of business, then we took care of the people. You
Oh yeah.
know, if we can give away, one morning, you was on the way to school, this kid was walking with no jacket on, you stopped and bought the kid a jacket.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember that, and we had some families barely up there. They, didn't know what they gonna do for Thanksgiving. I mean, we was feeding.
Helping people. That's what
Kids,
it's about.
yeah, went to college, and say the campus was so big, we bought them bikes and supplies.
Oh
You
yeah. That's
know, I mean, when you look back and you take yourself out of things, and especially if you represent an organization, and then you walking, through the mall, or you out in public and they say, "Mama, there he is, that black man who care." You
oh
know,
yeah.
that makes you smile. They don't have to
Oh
call your
yeah.
name; they call what you represent.
Oh yeah. No
You
doubt.
know him. He be at our school.
Oh yeah.
It was it was very heartfelt, because you helping, you giving back, and you was in position to give.
Oh yeah.
See, when I said earlier, we had a lot of people that promised us donations, and for various reasons, they never followed through with it,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
we had to keep giving, and
And we was willing to keep giving because I love helping people, and who better than your own people? And I've had moments that people on the streets. I've helped a Caucasian too. That's not my mission or my purpose, but who better than to help than your own people? I mean, that's common sense, self-preservation, the number one law of nature. But like you said, other brothers notice when we just are heard of who we are, there's a defense within. And it's not only black men who care. Okay, they say black men don't do this, don't do that. We create organizations say we're black men who care. What's the problem? Even when we say we care, I mean, so there's always gonna be opposition to this black greatness. That's what the world does. Hey, but we're built for it. That's what I say. We can handle it.
Well, you know, that stigma gonna ride with us for forever. But
It's not our doing or our fault.
I know it, but it's on our back though. But
If
one
we
thing
know it, we need to deal with it properly.
is, and I carry with pride because every time you reach out a helping hand, they take that double take. I can't believe they doing this. When you leave your job or before you go to your job, you take out time to deal with kids in school,
Oh yeah.
troubled kids, hungry kids, you know, and all you do is just reach out to them and you see a smile on their face.
That's worth
You know,
it for sure.
that is that I mean,
Oh
that is
yeah.
the purpose itself.
Oh man.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
take that back for all the money that was promised that could be donated to
You're
us.
right. Oh man, just loving them children. I love people, but children are my number one. I love children. I've loved children since I was a child. I was like seventh grade, 11 or 12. I said I want to help children. For a
Well,
moment, I picked up.
a lot of people came to our school and I didn't understand it in the
Yeah.
elementary, why this man coming talking to us.
Right. Right.
But then as you mature, you know, that's your purpose. Is you make
Hmm.
it, help them make it. You
That's what
know,
that is.
and that's what it was. And like I said, reviving the organization, bringing us brothers together for one common cause, and fulfilling that, and then knowing that at some given time, if we're going to continue this to be a legacy through this organization, you have to step aside and let some eager young black men come in and take over.
At some point.
Who yes, you have to, and that's where you could sit back and say, my wife and I, we traveled a lot. And I said, it ever get to the point where we can't travel no more, and we see it, we could say we've been there.
Oh yeah.
The same way I feel about Black Men Who Care. Wow, I was a part of that. You know, and it
Hmm.
never, not one day you can ever say it was about me. Ever. You know,
No, it was
it's
always
always
about the core organization, the children. That's it, and then it's through the organization we manage to have access and deal with. But the children, they are so much in our hearts, man. That's everything. And people like I said, they're the future, of course, but whatever they are later, I'm talking about right now. The children, we need to
yeah.
give them what they need to be equipped for their future, to be
Well,
independent individuals.
and it's some out there that thrive. That
Some
that
brilliant
thrive.
children,
And I never
brilliant
forget
children.
one named Zion. I mean, he just stuck in my
Oh
mind.
yeah, yeah, the brothers that we got that plaque for from Bushman,
Yes, and I
W.
mean,
Bushman.
excelled at every level.
Oh yeah, yeah, we got so many
And
brilliant
you know,
youngsters.
I mean, he may rise up to be a senator, Congress, or run for president. You could
Whatever
say,
he
I
decides.
remember that brother.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember him as a
and,
little
and that was years ago, and you haven't forgotten.
right.
Yeah,
No, I never forget him.
and it made me remember a little girl named Asia at Bushman too.
I remember her.
First
But
grade,
those
she
are people that embrace the organization.
said she's gonna be a doctor. I'm like, okay, well, what kind? She said pediatrician.
See there,
I
and
thought I
they
had her, but I said what kind.
right. No,
The
no, no.
babies be brilliant, man.
We got some very smart,
They're brilliant.
brilliant kids out there. All they need is an opportunity.
Something to help them understand that they are cared about and loved, and they need to feel safe. You see what I'm saying? We got to protect them babies too. And when people know you love them, they're going to do better, I believe, for themselves. Because we all need some kind of love at some point in time. And children, they deserve it without question.
But being employed by the postal service was one of the best moves of my life. Getting involved in the union was a greater move,
Mm.
but a pride thing that you could never let go of is being a part of an organization that you could say, somewhere along this journey in my life, I helped my people. You
You
know,
feel me? That's right. That's
that
important too.
yeah, that's monumental. How I sit up here and listen to Martin Luther King. I have a dream. and Malcolm X by any means necessary. And like I said, you hear somebody say, "There go black men who cure." That send a chill up your body, you
Oh,
know.
oh, oh, yeah, lovely one. And just imagine the motivation that Carter G. Woodson had to have had to come up with the concept of Negro History Week in 1926, knowing that black people, many of us felt so hopeless and felt even a feeling of hating that they were black. Sadly, we got some black people like that still today that wish they weren't even black.
Well, I
So
can't stand that, and
I
I
can't either.
can't.
But I mean, bleaching cream is still being used.
Well, like I said, I remember as a kid, I used to love Drew Pearson,
Hmm.
and Drew Pearson got caught up in the scandal. I let go of heroes, At that day, I stopped. I didn't have a hero. I
Okay.
mean, I started looking back over history and looking at some great black people, you
Hmm.
know. But I said everybody has a purpose, and you got to embrace your purpose. And that purpose is for a season. And like I said, I felt like I was groomed to that point to help that organization, because all the things that I learned along the way,
Hmm.
it were things that we needed to excel to where we are.
You
It
utilize it.
wasn't happen by circumstance. I was groomed along the way,
Yeah,
So
yeah. For a purpose. They were sitting there waiting on you.
for purpose. And then the season ended, and then if I was that Sunday school teacher, didn't want to let go, this young brother who wanted to be a leader would still be sitting dormant, just waiting.
Right. But man, wow. And what's so great in such a short, and at the time, he has impacted the situation so wonderfully. So that
And
is
like I
such a
said,
great
if
thing.
you would have heard his inquiry about the organization, I wouldn't have been surprised. He would just he asked. He said, I don't mean to sound negative, but why did you let it go? I said I didn't let it go. I stepped aside.
Mm,
I
that's
said
good.
I opened the door. I said
Mm.
because he thought it was something that was negative.
Like disgruntlement or something like that.
Yeah, or I did something wrong to where I had to get out there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
yeah, something
no,
like that.
no. I said it's like for you, somebody has, you have to have an opportunity, and you just happen to want the lead, and to do that, you have to follow these certain guidelines. And
And his aura is perfect for it. And with him being younger than us, that makes
man,
it
I
so
heard
great.
the passion in his
That's so
voice.
great.
I
That's so
mean,
great. Yeah.
where you sit up here and say, bam, okay, he gave me the gist of it. I'm good, man. He just kept going deeper and deeper. Like I said, I had to pull over, because I said, shoot, this guy asked me some questions,
Yeah, yeah. You say this dude
nothing
getting
high,
good.
but nothing I was expecting. He didn't
Hmm.
say, I got the 99 questions I'm gonna ask you, so I didn't have nothing to go over. But with the sincerity of it, I didn't want to give just no vague answer. So I had to pull over and we go and we dig deep on it. Like I said,
Right, right.
he was thirsty, then he got hungry, then like I said, he took a doggy bag home,
That's great. I mean, I think he's a perfect fit for sure, no doubt. And that's a great
Well,
thing. That's a great thing.
everybody that held the position and opened the door for the others should have that same passion. That is not what I'm letting go, is what I'm opening the door for. And
Progress.
you and I talked about it prior to, and I said, if this gonna be a legacy, you have to bring in young people.
Right.
If you just want to die with the name, I said, I mean, it's fulfilled. But if you want it to go beyond you, yeah, I mean, it's too good for it to just be what it was and then bam,
Right. No, it needs to be carrying on for people's children's children.
children, yes. And that's what
Absolutely.
he
No
said.
doubt.
So,
No doubt.
uh,
And
Black
see,
Men in Corporate is in great hands. I believe it to my soul, and got a
hallelujah.
phenomenal leader. And like I told him, you're gonna go through changes in your administration. And I said, I always keep the organization as your focal point. You're gonna get the right people. You're gonna make the right decisions, and it's gonna be the right thing for the organization. So those ingredients was considered.
And he did that early at the first board meeting, so that's a great thing. And all I can say, perhaps you're a kingmaker, maybe that's part of it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not one of those that welcome showering or things like that there, because like I say, it wasn't a position where I was looking to shine in. I was just, came in and saw something and I saw where we can make it better. And we did
Mhm.
that. And
Absolutely.
we wanted to be great. I was only there for the better stage. The great stage is beyond me. So for that to happen, you have to accept this young black man who has the passion to make it great. And then
It's all the
next level
tools.
after that is making it phenomenal, so where he step out of, I mean, step it up or whatever, I said, I made it better. It's your job to make it great. So, you
Yeah.
got to excel. So,
He
and
coming out the blocks good.
uh,
He's coming out the blocks really
yeah,
good.
but like I said,
Really good.
everybody who vacates that position has to have that passion for the next man. You
I know
know,
that's right.
if you just vacate it and just leave it dormant, you have selfish motives be why you was there. We just didn't get a chance to disclose them. So, but
Right, right.
I love the guys we work with. Everybody was challenging. Everybody had a position, and everybody had to be pushed.
Yeah,
So
and the timing is crucial sometimes, and everything has its season. So
oh
I
yeah,
just like to thank you again for all the work you did and all the things that you do in so many areas, because you've helped a lot of people in so many ways, like with that retirement thing. Some people listened, some people didn't. I know, like, when the Postal Service at one point was all civil service, then it switched to FERS. And I understand when people are comfortable with something and familiar with it already, like civil service, they're reluctant to listen to something new on something that's serious. But you dug into it or whatever you did, and you saw the benefits and shared it with some people in civil service, like you always share knowledge. It's up to them, they want it or not, to utilize it. And you mentioned, which a lot of people from here that would know us, know Claude Watson. Would you say
cool,
he
man.
listened?
Yeah.
He listened. And Claude, he's a cool dude. I like Claude. And he listened and he said he thank you for it too. And so,
Well,
and
it
I
was
done listened to you several times on
it
stuff.
was a woman, Patricia Kelly, and I never forget the day. And it was a short window for them to transition over. And she said, "What you know about this?" I said, "Only thing I know is the benefits you can gain." And I said, "You're not losing nothing under civil service." And she said, "What is the greatest benefit I can gain?" I say, "Social Security." I said, "Social Security. They're going to match your TSP." I said, "You're going to get a civil service check. You're going to get a first check." But I said, "You're going to get a Social Security check." And I remember, about 10 years later, she retired and so on, so this. And one day, I met someone in the grocery store and they said, I talked to Patricia and I was asking her, why come my retirement check ain't like yours? And she said, you didn't listen to Harvey, And I say, wow, but, that's what I mean. That's always been my passion. Try to educate our black people.
Oh
Try to
yeah,
get us codependent on us instead of them.
absolutely.
And one of the ways of doing it was, embracing the benefits that you have before you,
Yeah,
and it just, those who leaped out their own faith, they live in a dream. And I
yeah,
have
because that was the
some who
better
sitting
deal.
there saying they wish they would have, you
Oh
know.
yeah,
So, but I don't. I don't know if it's prejudice or what, but I just focus more on our people than I did them. You know,
I would
because
say it's common sense, and it's definitely the number one law of nature. Self-preservation is, and you and yourself and your people are of one to some degree. So
yeah.
yeah, that's self-preservation and common sense, if you ask me.
See, because when they used to walk up and ask me, and I didn't have that passion to break it down to them, you know, and they used to ear hustle, you know, when I'm
Yeah,
telling
yeah,
someone else,
right, right.
and they benefited that way. But I had too many of us who were knowledgeable, and my journey of it is to get many as I can on that level because that time, you know, it shrinks so quick. And now look where we are, retired, you know.
Oh yeah, don't have to work no more. I'm
And
loving it.
right. And you know, and I remember I took a detail out there in North Texas, and this guy came up and I hadn't seen him in 15, 20 years. And he said, "Thank you, brother." And I say, "Thank me for what?" He said, "You make me a half a millionaire." I said, "I did." He said, "Yeah. You told me to put my money in the seed plan and don't never look back." And he did, and I did. And he said, "I got over $500,000 in there." And then
Alright.
after that, he walked off, and I said, "Wow, that was 20 years ago." You know, but that was my passion. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you didn't know about it, and the bottom line was, you got so much time to recover. Put your money in through a saving plan and the seed plan,
Mm.
and don't look back. And he told me, he said, "I didn't." And you know, and I had one sister. She said, "I got scared and I left mine in the G plan. I only got $100,000." And I said, "I'm sorry, you know." But the thing was, you know, but
Mhm.
those are some of the highlights, you know, that
Those are highlight, no doubt.
I would definitely, you know, taking it outside of every aspect, you know, we we wasn't tunnel vision on certain things. You know, it was a broad perspective of a love and knowledge and hope out there. So, and I tried to absorb it all. So, you know, making it where it was diversified. You know, it just wasn't about this. You know, I tried to make myself knowledgeable of everything, and I used to, he think he know everything. I don't think I know everything, but whatever I do know, I'm expound on it. And if you
and
listen to me long enough, I convince you in on it. You know,
and sharing valuable information is definitely caring. Ain't
yeah.
no doubt.
So, you know, but it was so
Sadly,
much.
you got some people won't share information because it might help somebody, and that's ridiculous. But there are people like that. Sadly.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, and that's like this retirement thing. If you're not ready to retire, I'm not spending no time on you because there's some people out there that's at that crossroad, and all they need is a little information to move forward. So you
Right,
know,
right.
and that's how it was with a whole lot of things. And you know, I learned that being a union steward. You know, people want to come in the union office just get off the workroom floor, but you got 100 other people out there need help. You know, and this is not a refuge. You know, this is. I
Right,
mean,
right.
hey, you got to keep it moving, dude. I got people out there need help. You know,
Mhm.
and like I said, we had this saying, "Don't tell me about the labor pain. Tell me about the baby that's being born." You know, and that's how I try to pattern my life. You know, I don't want to know about the labor pain. I want to know about the baby that's being born. You know, and
Mhm.
that's what. If you say you went through this life, and what do you want to be remembered more than anything is that I always tried to help. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
don't ask for nothing in return, but just take heed to it and try to make your life better.
I know you told me one time this a fellow tried to give you some money. Something you did to help me. You like just help the next person. Don't give me no money. Just help somebody else like I helped you.
Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty
that's
cool.
always been my thing. Hey man, let me pay you now. Just help the next man along. Help the next brother. I used to always say that. Help the next brother. You
Hmm.
know, if I see you have a flat, man, what do I owe you now? Just stop and help the next brother. You know,
Yeah, that's
if
pretty
you
cool.
got an issue, you know, I sit up here and say, you know, um, Other day, I was getting something to eat, and the guy came in there and said, "Man, can I have some money to get me a hamburger?" I'm in the chicken joint. If you hungry, you eat this. Dude, I buy you something right here. He said, "I want a hamburger." I said, "You ain't hungry." He said, "Well, can
Yeah,
you buy me a drink? You may be thirsty. I'll buy you a drink,
right,
but I'm
right.
not going to be here to go feed you or propose to feed you what you want. Hey, I'm right here. I'm
We
with
ought
you."
to be grateful. Yeah, but
So,
it's like Marcus Garvey say, we need to embrace that mindset of all for one and one for all,
all for
mentally,
one, one
emotionally,
for all.
spiritually, financially, all of that.
That is just how life is. If you hungry for help, you embrace it. If you got
Right.
game, and it's easy to notice.
And
So
us that have been in the world, grew up in communities that are some of the most rugged and dangerous, perhaps, even though we bypassed the part of getting incarcerated and joining gangs and all that, we got a lot of good knowledge, strong knowledge. And if you ask me, it looked like we the sharpest to get through it without getting in trouble. People talk about street cred, and I try to wonder what is that. And one buddy was telling me something about it means you have been living this type of life. I'm like, well, in that case, I don't want no street cred if that's what it is. But I don't think that's what it is. I think so-called street cred basically is something about your individual aura that's how you're going to be responded to by people that's around you that happen to be in that life. I think that's all it is. Because there's some brothers that's so slick they may even been running enterprises and you never even knew they was a part of it. You see what I'm saying? So that part about doing time, and we got various cultures within our culture. And right now, look like with this podcast stuff is real popular for former inmates to be big shots or whatever the case they calling it. But it's a lot of that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm happy for the brothers to find a lane after being incarcerated, because when you get incarcerated in this nation, especially if you're black, you pretty much gonna have to find a way to work for yourself if you're gonna live
right.
comfortably. So that part is great, but it's interesting. So I know this society like to give us overdoses of anything that can hurt us, you know, and they're doing that. So, hey, I'm in my lane. I want to try to see about uniting Black people collectively. We all love each other. We need coffers for our people. That's where it should be. And I think we're headed there. And we're going to do all the necessary things collectively as a people. With Black leadership like yourself, passing the torch and the baton and all that good stuff. Unprovoked, just knowing it's a great thing to do.
I call it passing a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, black men who carry in corporate should never die because there's always people out there that's gonna need help.
Right.
And as long as you feel the passion of somebody who want to step in, and knowing it's not a rewarding job, I've had people say, "How much you get paid?" I say, "Dude, I don't get a dime, man."
That fact it costs you money.
Like you saying nonprofit and 501(c), some money coming in from somewhere. But
Well, yeah.
those years, and you looking back over the the community, you know, looking back over the fellowship, then looking at the legacy that's going to continue. It's say, hey, well, I'm good. I feel good, and
Definitely
like I
gonna
said,
get better.
I have no regrets in stepping down, not one. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have some situations where it just happened to turn over into the wrong hands, and you say, "Boy, I messed that up. I should have stayed in there and
Right,
long."
right, right.
But no, Black Men Who Carry Incorporated is in great hands. And
Absolutely.
you always thought about it, how far this can go, and now you could just relish on how far it's going to go. So
Right, right.
it's in great hands, and you know when you be a part of something and it becomes real, manifested in you, and you're reminded of you know, when you drive past a community event that you once was there. And like you said, people say, you know, he always been part helping out in the community. You know, he always been a volunteer, you know. But you say, I had an opportunity to really get deep involved in our people, you know. That's monumental, you know. It's monumental. And it's no CNN, it's no Channel 8 News, you know, it's no Dallas Morning News. It's just some little kids out there say, there go black men who care. So, you know, that's the title. So, you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah, that's what's up.
that's the best it get. It got great for me, you know. You know,
Hmm.
we never drew that channel. I mean that F5 news coverage. You know, we never had a scandal under our watch. You know, you know, it's just you know, it's just heartfelt. And like I said, the leadership that's in there now, you know, they're gonna make it great. They're gonna make it great. You know, we did better. We took it from good to better, and they're gonna make it great.
I second that. Thanks for coming, Malcolm. I appreciate you, and hey, keep doing what you do, and hopefully I see you in the near future. Get some of that good smoked barbecue you be having.
Yeah, that's not affiliated with Black Men Who Carry Corporate. You know, that's a
Yeah, you one of the best though. You already know it.
thank you. You know, anything you love doing, you know, you put your heart into it, and you're gonna get positive results from it. So, you know, for somebody to take over a position that you held, and they don't have to work to bring it up, they just have to work to keep it up and make it better. You know,
Hmm.
I'm good. I'm serious. I am good.
Well, you
Seriously, you
got
know.
good reason to be good because I saw your work and I appreciate it. Even though
So, you
we
know,
bumped heads a couple times.
oh yes, you know, if we didn't bump heads, it wasn't no problem, you know. So you know, like you say, you love giving and love spending, and we didn't have much to give and have much to spend, and we had to hold on to something, you know.
That's real.
But the thing was, you know, it was all done out of love. And like I said, Black Men Who Care in corporate came from a good organization to a better organization. And
Headed to
then
greatness.
it's in line to be a great organization. So, you know,
Absolutely.
my
Thank you for your contributions. I appreciate all you've done, and you know you've done much. And
well, it didn't feel
yeah,
like much, you know, but it is what it is. And like I said, and I'm always say, I can look forward to better things for that organization, you know.
that's
So
what's up. Well, on that note, that shirt you wearing for your alma mater, you call it sock. Well, y'all did it back to back. Let's see, can y'all get a three-peat?
hey man, you know us. She
It's on the table. See if y'all
hey,
get a
don't
three-peat.
do what we do, but you know, hey, it's proud of being something that's great, you know.
Oh, no
And
doubt, no
like
doubt.
I say, I got deep roots in the hood, you know,
Oh
in the
yeah,
field.
oh yeah,
And
and those are the favorite aspect of our people. I love all of our people, but you know, people in the hood, I somehow would have to have a special passion for them. I was born and raised in the hood myself, but I love all levels of our black people. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
yeah, because I never forget we was over in Jamaica and we was at a resort. I said I got to get out and get in the hood. I got to see what my people look like. I don't want to see these bathing suit people. I want to see some people. I want to
You
see
would
the
see some
ghetto.
people. Yeah.
You can go in the ghetto. You're a lie. You know I am ghetto. So let's go to the ghetto. You know let's
Right,
get some
right.
real dirt chicken and lick the weed.
You want to
You
see what
know
it do.
I want to see what it do. So you know now anywhere I go, I want to see the hood. You know,
Right,
all over
right.
the country, I want to see the hood. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah,
so
I'm the same way. But stay strong, Malcolm, and keep it real.
you know, I always will.
Wow, 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 I love my people.